my name is Elida Ochoa and I work for the Human Resource Department. Welcome to the City of East Chicago. Today we're going to be working on your packet that you'll need when you become a new employee. You will be receiving a red folder with all the information we'll be going over today. When you open up your folder, on your left you'll see a side that says Employee Handbook. In this section, I need you to remove the Employee Handbook. Our substance abuse book, we will be going through 2 pages. I need you to go to page 2. On page 2, you'll see the scope of testing. When we do our testing, we do testing for alcohol, amphetamines, cocaine, opiates, PCP, THCs, and anything additional that the medical review officer deems necessary. If you go to the next page, you'll see category B, categories on testing. We do pre-employment, which you've already done and you've completed. That's why you're here today. Random testing, department testing, reasonable suspicion, and post-accident if you're involved in an accident in a city vehicle. That's all I go over on this one. Set this book aside. The next book you'll see is our employee handbook. We'll be going over a few pages in this book. I would like you to turn to page 10. 10, we talk about exempt and non-exempt. You and I are non-exempt employees, which means you will only get paid for the hours you work. I'd like you to turn to page 24. We're going to go over section 4, letter B, mandatory benefits. As an employee, you get Social Security, Medicare, workers' compensation, and also unemployment insurance. Just make sure that if you are ever injured on a job, you let your supervisor know so they can address the issue at that time. If you bring it up 2-3 days later, that's something that we cannot prove that you had an injury on the job. So make sure you let your employer know or your supervisor know as soon as you can when you're injured on the job. Now I need you to turn to page 36. 36, section 5, letter B, sexual harassment. The City of East Chicago does not tolerate any type of sexual harassment, being from a coworker, a supervisor, or even someone from the public. If you deem you're being sexually harassed, make sure your supervisor knows and that we are aware of the issue so we can address it then and there. Now I need you to turn to page 42 through page 44. We'll be talking about the guidelines of conduct. There are 4 different categories that we address. There's category 1, which is a verbal warning. Category 2, which is a written warning. Category 3, which is a 3-day suspension, and a category 4. I'll use the example of tardiness. If you're tardy the first time, that will be a verbal warning. If you're tardy the second time, that would be a written warning. If you're tardy again within a year's time, that would be a 3-day suspension, and the 4th would be a 5-day suspension. If you have any questions, make sure you refer back to your book. If not, you can always give me a call. Now, if you go to page 47, we talk about letter N, dress code and personal appearance. Remember, you are not just representing yourself, but you're also representing the City of East Chicago. So make sure you follow the guidelines that are in our employee handbook, and also no smoking. There's no smoking prohibited in any building in the City of East Chicago. If anyone does smoke, they have to be within 8 feet of any public entrance. If you go to page 49, we talk letter S, talks about cell phones, pagers, and wireless devices. The City of East Chicago does not allow employees to use their personal phones during work hours. If you need to use them, please do so during your lunch, your breaks, before or after work. Now, if you go to page 51, we'll talk about visitors. Again, section 6 talks about safety and security. We discourage anyone from having their family, friends to come visit them at work, because when you're at work, we expect you to be working during your work hours. What you do before, during your lunch hours, and after work, that's your business. But during work hours, we expect you to be on the job working when you're on site. That's all we're going to go over this book. My recommendation is that you go over our substance abuse book and our employee handbook. Read it. If you have any questions, give me a call. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you, because you will be signing off that you did receive a copy of both of these books. Now, if you go back to your folder, the next thing you'll see will be the East Chicago phone directory. This I put in your packet so that way you can contact any departments that you need to. Be aware what department you work for. Have the phone numbers that are available for you. You can put this on your fridge. Make sure you keep it a copy for yourself. Also, you will be getting a copy of the homeowners workshop. This is a program that the City of Chicago Redevelopment has for people who are interested in buying homes within the City of Chicago. If you are a city employee, you'll get an additional discount. So read this over. If you have any questions, you can always call the redevelopment to get any answers on this if you're interested in the homeowners program. Now we'll go to the right side of your folder. Here you're going to find several things that we're going to go over. The first thing you'll see in front of you is a job description. Make sure you read the job description, sign and initial each page, because you will be getting a copy of this for your records. Okay, the next thing you'll have is your confidentiality agreement. I need you to, where you see the space in front, I need you to print your name. This is basically telling you that during the course of your employment with the City of Chicago, there may be disclosed to you certain confidential or sensitive information. That except the unauthorized, you are prohibited from disclosing any unauthorized information, confidential information, including but not limited to the following: written communication, oral communication, city or department budget, financial information or reports, any contract information, any proposed ordinances or proposed litigations, your own work as an employee for the City of Chicago, any faxes or emails to or from the mayor's office, from the law office, or any department or board or committees from the City of Chicago. When you get to the last page, I'm going to need you to sign and acknowledge on what day you did it, sign it, print your name, and also I will be giving you a copy of this document for your records. You can set this aside. And for those of you who will be working with computers, you will also be signing an information technology internet access acknowledgement. This basically states that what the do's and don'ts are of what you can and cannot do on our city computers. On the back page, you're going to see that there's a section for you to sign off. I need you to fill out this information, return that back to me, because you will be getting a copy of this also for your records. From here, we're going to go to our packet that has our memorandums and executive orders. The first thing you can come across is a timely attendance and tardiness. Any employee with the City of Chicago, you have 7 minutes before or 7 minutes after you shift should start that you punch in and punch out. You'll punch in the morning, you'll punch out at lunch, you'll punch back from lunch, and you'll punch out at the end of the day. Even though we do have that wiggle room of 7 minutes, that's not for you to come in late 7 minutes, nor is it for you to leave 7 minutes early. This is just a grace period for those who have too many people at the time clock. Gives everyone enough time to be able to punch in and punch out. The next thing you'll do, you'll have the next memorandum is dress code and personal appearance. This is just a couple sheets that just give you more in depth of what we expect you to wear, how you should present yourself at work. If you have any questions, you can always give me a call and we'll go over that even further. The next thing you're going to come across, it's going to be Executive Order number 15-3. This is executive order that was established in 2015 in reference to light duty. If you're injured outside of work and there's a restriction and you have to come back to work or you want to come back to work, you cannot come back to work unless your department can accommodate your restriction. Once your restriction is lifted, you can come back to work. If your department does accept you to come back, you will not be getting 100% of your pay, you'll be getting 70% of your pay. And then when that is done, then you'll go back to your full pay. This is a 10-page document, so bypass those few pages. Okay, next we're going to discuss Executive Order 2023-02, which is our COVID policy. This was amended May 11th, 2023. This is in reference to anyone who was tested positive for COVID. We do not take home tests. We expect you to either get something from Walgreens or one of the clinics, get a test stating that you are positive, take a screenshot of that and send that to someone in HR, either myself or Nikki Micah. Then from there, she will explain to you what you need to do to return to work. I know for sure that you have to come back with a negative test result and a doctor's release to do so. So we'll bypass this. There's 7 pages of this. When you come to the next thing is phone etiquette. For those of you who are going to be answering phones, we'd like you to follow this guideline so that everyone in the city is more or less on the same page when we answer our phones and we address the city of East Chicago and its constituents. If you pass this up, the next thing that you're going to come across will be the COVID Executive Order 2023-2 acknowledgement. I need you to print your name, sign, and date, acknowledging that I did give you a copy of the new updated amended 2023 COVID policy. The next thing you're going to do is sign off on that last sheet, acknowledging that you did receive all the documents in this packet. If you have any questions, make sure you give me a call and we can discuss this further. I need you to set this aside. The last thing that we'll be doing in this packet is our human resources checklist. On the first page, you will be doing nothing to that page. What I'm going to tell you now is because for the sake of us going through this packet, you will hear me say quite a bit when you come back to this page. What I need you to do is when you come back to each of the pages, once we're done, I need you to, anywhere that says a check mark, anywhere from the first page on, that says email on down, if you see a check mark, I need you to fill that in. So this is for your payroll action form. So when you come back to this page, anywhere you see a check mark, I need you to fill in for me. If you go to the next page, it's your W-4. Again, when you come back to this page, anywhere you see a mark that's indicated with a check mark, when you come back to this page, make sure you fill in everything. If there's a check mark, either put a number or a 0, put something. You cannot leave it blank. If you go to the next page, what you'll see is Step 2B, Multiple Job Worksheet. This worksheet is added for you if you have a second job, and you can use this as your worksheet. If you do not have a second job, bypass this and go to your next page. On the next page is your State of Indiana Employees Withholding Exemptions and County Status Certificate. Again, when you see the check marks on this page, I need you to fill out every check mark. If you have any questions, make sure you ask us and we'll let you help. We'll help you as best we can. If you go to the next page, you'll see the City of East Chicago Human Resources Emergency Information Form. I need you to fill out the top portion with your information, the department that you're going to. Below that, the emergency contact, just input the information of whoever you deem your emergency contact, sign, date, and print this page. Okay, the next page we're doing is the employee eligibility verification. That is your I-9 form. There's one of 3 pages. On one of 3, wherever you see that check mark, when you come back to this page, make sure you fill it out completely. If you turn the page, you'll see page 2 of 3. This page, you leave it alone. That's the information I will be getting from you. This is why when we ask you for 2 types of IDs, 2 forms of IDs, this is what we're using. If you see page 3 of 3, you'll see the list of acceptable unexpired documents that we're using. Example, if you came in with your driver's license and Social Security, we're able to do your I-9 form. Here, if you go to the next page, this is Uniform Conflict of Interest Disclosure Statement. This one is basically asking if there's anyone in your household that works for the City of Chicago in any way, shape, or form, either an employee, contractor, or vendor. So what I need you to do on this page, I need you to put your name and address, city, state, and zip on the 9-1. Where it says title or position with government entity, that would be the title that you're coming in with. For example, if you're coming in with a labor, you'd put labor. If you're coming in as a recreation leader, that's what you would put. On 3, where it says 3A government entity, that would be the City of East Chicago. If you go to 3B, when I ask for county, you'll enter Lake. When you come to 4, this statement is submitted, check 1. If you have no one in your family as a contractor or vendor who lives in your home working for us, on 4A and 4B, you would put NA for non-applicable. If you have on 5, name the contractor vendor. Again, if there's no contractor vendor, you would put NA for non-applicable. And number 6 was asking for description. You would do the same thing, NA, non-applicable. You'd go to the next page. If there's no one working for you, working for us, it lives with you, on the description, on 7, you would put NA for non-applicable. Then on the bottom of the page, I just need you to sign and date. If you go to the next page, the City of East Chicago Employee Nepotism Disclosure and Compliance Form. Nepotism would be to people who are in direct line of supervision. So if you and I were working together and you were my supervisor, that would be nepotism. If not, you can proceed with this page and enter A, we need your name. B, your address, which would include your city, state, and zip. And 3, your title. Again, if you come in as a laborer, you would put labor. If you come in as a rec leader, you would put rec leader. If you go to the next page, on D, it says department, whatever department you're going to. If you're coming as a laborer, if you're going to public works, or if you're going to sanitary district, you would put that up there. And below that, it says name of employee. If you do have an employee that's direct line supervision with you, you would have to indicate that on this page. If you go to the center of the page, you'll see a spot that says signature. If you can sign for me, please, there. Below that, it says sign, acknowledge on this day, month, and year. You put that in there. Print your name, put your job title, and the date again. On the next page, it says this acknowledgement that you did receive the employee handbook. That was the blue book that is in your folder. So if you would print, sign, and date your name on this page. The next thing you're going to come to is acknowledgement of your substance abuse policy book. Make sure that was the red book I gave you in your folder. Make sure you print, sign, and date on this page. And the last thing that you'll see on here is the direct deposit form. I need you to fill out the name of the bank. Not necessarily, we don't need, if you don't have the address, not needed. Just make sure you put your routing, your account number, what type of account you're going to be using, signature, date, and print. Now that I finished with the information direct deposit, now you can go back to the beginning of this packet and fill out all the check marks that need to be filled in so you can complete your application. Thank you. That concludes our orientation. Thank you for joining the team of East Chicago. Thank you.